The Little Prince. A journey through the stars.
A pilot crashed his plane in the middle of the Sahara Desert. As he struggled to survive under the scorching sun, he wondered what to do next. But when he woke up the next morning, he was met with something truly unexpected. Standing before him was a small boy with golden hair, gently swaying in the breeze. His bright eyes looked up at the pilot as he softly asked, "Please, draw me a sheep." The pilot was stunned. What was a child doing in the desert? And why was he asking for a drawing of a sheep? Still, he took out his pencil and paper and began to draw. The pilot did as the little boy asked and drew a sheep. But the boy shook his head. "This sheep looks sick." The pilot tried again. "This one is too old. I want a sheep that will live a long time." The pilot was starting to lose patience, but then he had an idea. He quickly drew a simple box and handed it to the boy with a smile. "Here, your sheep is inside." The little prince's face lit up. His eyes sparkled with joy. He held the box in his hands and exclaimed, "This is exactly what I wanted." The pilot now understood. This boy was not ordinary. But who was he? And why was he alone in the desert? "Who are you?" he finally asked. The little prince lifted his gaze to the sky and smiled softly. "I come from a very distant planet." The pilot was stunned by the little prince's words. "A distant planet? So, you came from space?" The little prince nodded and chuckled softly. "Yes, my planet is so small that I can make the sun set just by taking a few steps." The pilot wasn't sure if the boy was serious. The little prince sat down on the sand and began to explain. "On my planet, I have a volcano. It's as small as a little mountain. Every morning, I clean it, because if I don't, it might clog and erupt." The pilot, intrigued, asked, "And what else is on your planet?" The little prince hesitated for a moment before whispering, "A flower." The pilot noticed the sadness in the little prince's voice. "This flower, is she special to you?" he asked. The little prince nodded. "Very special. One day, a seed arrived on my planet. I had never seen anything like it before. It grew for days, forming a bud, and then it bloomed. She was beautiful." The pilot smiled. "So, what happened?" The little prince sighed. "She was very proud. She always wanted my attention. She told me never to show that I loved her, but I didn't understand. I didn't accept her as she was. In the end, I left my planet." The pilot saw the sadness in the boy's eyes. "Sometimes it takes time to understand those we love," he said gently. The pilot listened carefully. "So, where did you go?" he asked. The little prince gazed at the starry sky. To different planets, the first one had a king. He wanted everyone to obey him, but there was no one else. Then I met a vain man. He only wanted applause. The pilot asked curiously, "And then?" The little prince continued, "There was a businessman. He counted the stars and said they belonged to him, but he never noticed their beauty." The pilot smiled. "And which planet was the most important?" The little prince took a deep breath. "Earth." On Earth, the little prince met a fox. The fox said to him, "Will you tame me?" The little prince was puzzled. "What does tame mean?" he asked. The fox smiled. "It means to form a bond. If you tame me, you will be unique to me in the whole world." The little prince spent time with the fox, He tamed him and formed a deep bond. But one day, he had to leave. With tears in his eyes, the fox said, "If you truly love your Rose, the time you spent with her is what makes her special." At that moment, the little prince understood. Love required responsibility. During his time with the pilot, the little prince learned many things, but now it was time for him to leave. The pilot was sad. "Will you come back?" he asked. The little prince smiled. "Remember me when you look at the stars. At night, when you gaze at the sky, it will seem as if millions of little smiles are shining back at you." The pilot saw peace in the little prince's eyes. The little prince then disappeared among the stars, returning to his planet. From that day on, every time the pilot looked at the night sky, he remembered the love of a dear friend.
Thank you for joining this magical journey. What was your favorite part? Speech Balloon, let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and don't miss new adventures.